Hey, hello everybody, my name is Mr. Soizes, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about what you should know before going into Vancouver Film School, or if you're just starting it. And I can only speak specifically for the 3D animation visual effects program. I can't speak for any of the other ones. And I can only speak on the later terms and the type of demo reel that you need for animation, because that is the stream that I specified in. So let me start off with some basic stuff. To get into the school, what you're going to want to do is have some drawings. Now that's the most basic thing that you could possibly do. Some people have gotten in with only drawings, but you probably want to have some 3D stuff also, if possible. I mean, once you've learned the basics of something like Blender or, student version of Maya, it's not too hard to make just a simple model, like model a pen, model your cell phone, model, I modeled just 2 swords, and that got me in. So it's really not that hard. They're very, very simple swords. They're actually on my website. If you want to check out, you can see what they look like. And I also did a battle axe. I did some Photoshop stuff to make them look cooler, but they were originally just 3D models that I made in Blender and rendered. So you definitely want to show you can do some 3D stuff before you go in. Specifically, make sure that you learn some 3D stuff before you go to the school. Make sure you've tried Blender or Maya. I can't stress that enough. It'd also be really good if you knew how to use some Photoshop stuff. If you don't have enough money for Photoshop, then download paint.net and play around with that. Before you start, you should definitely learn Maya or Blender. Now, you're not going to be using Blender at the school, but you will be using Maya, which is very similar to Blender. And if you have the ideas from Blender down, and you watch some tutorials and learn some stuff on your own of Blender, or student version of Maya, you're going to do a lot better, and your life will be a lot easier, and you're going to pull a lot less hair out and sleep at the school a lot less than I had to. I went into the school having known a little bit of Blender, nothing of Nuke, and I've never touched Maya before, so I had to completely learn all that stuff from scratch, and they really push you. You have just maybe a week to figure out all of the basic stuff for all of those, and really wrap your head around how they work. It's not very much time. It's really not. You have to take the time before you start school to learn some of this stuff. There are 6 terms in VFS. Each term is 2 months long with a break in between. Everybody from the same start date in that program will have the same classes for the first 2 terms. So everybody from my class, which was 3D 118, all had to take the same classes in terms 1 and 2. And some things you need to know about that are you have to take notes. Attendance is mandatory. It is a part of your mark. There are assignments. There are no tests, though there is one lighting test. You will be marked down if you're late. Like I said, you have to take notes on pen and paper. You can't take them on an iPad or a computer or something, at least when I was there. I can only speak for when I was there, okay? So things might change, is what I'm trying to say. Also, things you should know, you have to move downtown Vancouver, or very close, like a 20-minute bus ride or SkyTrain ride or C-bus ride away, because and you're not going to be able to really drive down there because parking is extremely expensive down there, so you're going to have to be in bus or SkyTrain or walking distance, because though there is a set schedule for each week, every day is different. You're never going to have a week with the same classes in the same order. There's always something different about each one. You'll have, each class is 3 hours, and the class start times are 9 o'clock until 12, 1 o'clock until 4, 4 o'clock until 7, I believe, and then 7 until 10. So within any of those blocks, you may have a class, and it's always different. Some days you might have one starting at 9 and then one starting at 7. Sometimes you'll have a class, you'll have 3 classes, one after the other with an hour break in between each, sometimes a few minute break in between each. Really depends on the schedules of the teachers, and it's not really up to the students at all. You can get notebooks and pencils and paper if you need it for taking notes at resources, so that's not really a big worry of having that before you go. You're going to get a backpack, an umbrella, and a water bottle when you start, so you don't need to buy your own backpack. There's so many assignments, and you're going to be at this school for so long every day, from minimum 8 hours, that's working, that's not including food breaks, to maximum, you're going to be there all day. Maximum, obviously, I've been at the school for, I believe, 4 days straight to try to get deadlines done, and it's not fun, and it's really hard, and I had to stay awake the whole time. I ended up passing out. I was doing work, and then all of a sudden I just blacked out for 2 hours, woke up, and had to keep working because there were deadlines, and I had to get the stuff done. So you are given marks, and there is an attendance, so you have to go to classes, and lates will take off marks. After 10 missed classes, you will have to talk to administration, and they'll ask you what's going on. And there's very specific submission requirements for all of the stuff that you've done. If you want to know what I did, or what my class had to do in the first 2 terms, you can see a little bit of a synopsis of it if you go to my Vimeo. So I'm gonna have to make this kind of hard. You have to go to my website. Then from my website, at the bottom of any page, you can go to my Vimeo, and the term 2 presentation, I believe is what it's called. You can see some of the stuff that we had to do. So I had to model and texture a gun, model and texture a 3D character, do a bunch of roto stuff, some previs animation stuff, and then there's also a section for other work. You're going to want to know generally what you're going to want to do at the school specifically. So visual effects, modeling, or animation. So at the end of term 2, you get to specify into one of those. And you do that by a presentation where you present 3 demo reel ideas, and it's very obvious whether those are animation, modeling, or visual effects demo reels. There's going to be an intense pressure from everybody else who has these awesome stories, and there's all of these grads who have graduated with these awesome reels. You do not need a plot to your demo reel. In your final cut of your demo reel, you're gonna have to cut out pieces of your story anyways. Do not do a story unless that is exactly why you are going to Vancouver Film School, to make a 3D animated story, like I was, like this idiot right here, okay? I ended up having to completely quit on that idea after spending months of my life. I mean, I learned a lot, but it was a bad idea. I didn't do it right. You want to use a third-party rig. If you're in animation, you want to use a third-party rig. You want to make as simple of a set as possible. You want to just show off the type of animation that you want. Now, with animation, you have to choose very specifically, I just have to say this before I forget, either super realism or hyper realism, where you try to make something look real, like it's a real movement that's possible in real life, but then you just push it that little bit more. So instead of like a punch, it's like it's like extremely exaggerated, and it's way faster than, well, not way faster, it's like a little bit faster than it should be, and the arcs are a little bit nicer, stuff like that. That's what super realism demo, like animation, is. You can also do very cartoony stuff where like things have overlap, and like there's a lot of like settle and like all of the very basic animation principles. You're not going for realism, you're going for like Like everything flows really nice, and you're like, wow, that's amazing, isn't it? I can't believe that you would ever want to do anything other than this kind of animation. It's beautiful, you know? Instead of, wow, I can't even believe you'd want to do that kind of animation. Wow, can you believe that? You know, like, can you see the difference? That one of them's really smooth and like nice, and the other one, it's like, it's harder. You know, you'll hit things and you'll kind of jerk and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, specifically for animation demo reels, that's what I need to say before I forgot. So, have your idea for your demo reel before you go to the school, and it should be specific to what you want to do. And now a lot of people won't know what they want to do specifically in the first, you know, like when they're going into the school. But you will figure it out as you go along. Hopefully you figure it out before term 2, and as soon as you can, figure out an idea. If you can, have a bunch of ideas already planned out. If you want to do a visual effects demo reel, figure out what you want to do and just do the most basic thing that you could possibly do. And if you finish it before time is up, like before your year is up, polish it. Make it better than you would see in the movie theaters. Or start another one if you think it's already like movie quality. The smaller your idea for your demo reel is, the better you can do it. So my idea for my demo reel was having somebody manipulating syrup with their hands. That's all. Okay? It ended up growing a little bit from that, and I think I kind of pulled it off well enough, at least. It's just that simple idea that works. So I had to change from my whole big story that I had, which I could have done, but it wouldn't have looked as good, and I probably wouldn't have gotten hired off of it, to something that I will be able to get hired off of. And a lot of companies have already shown really big interest in me because I showed a little bit of animation. Even though it's just a few seconds of animation, it's really good. Because I spent a lot of time on the animation instead of, hey, this is a part of a story that needs to make sense, and that's not what matters. It's just your animation. Because you're going to be given storyboards, you're going to be given pre-visualization stuff, you're going to just have to animate. So don't do other people's jobs. Don't worry about all of that stuff. Just make a demo reel and make it as nice as possible. The first 3 terms, you are in the random classrooms in the school. Wherever you can find a computer to work in or work at, you will use that. All your files will be on the H drive, which is public. Well, not public. It's specific to your login account on any computer, so you can get all your files from the H drive. But then once you get to the studio, you can put all your files onto the actual computer, because in the studio you have a specific computer to you. One of the best things is that there's a render farm. The render farm at VFS is amazing. Right now, people have used it so much that it actually set fire. And 8 of the 32 nodes, they literally just melted because literally they set fire. And so that was getting fixed. So by the time anybody watching this will get to Vancouver Film School, I'm pretty sure it'll be fixed by then. The render farm is extremely powerful. It rendered my entire demo reel in 2 hours, which it would have taken probably 6 days to render on just one computer. Even with all the restrictions that I had to go through, because, you know, everybody else has to use the farm at the same time, I still only rendered in like 2 hours. It was crazy. So that's really good. I love Vancouver Film School. I'm so happy that I went there. I learned so much about myself. I made so many friends. I learned to be a better person. I learned to live on my own and how to actually work really hard. I learned how to not be lazy anymore. I was super lazy before. And I'm very, I don't like my old self. I'm really happy with who I've become because of it, and because of all the people I've met. My whole point of going to Vancouver Film School was so that I could make an animated movie or an animated film, like short film that I made. That was my idea that I did all the stuff for. And I can do that now. And so I feel like very proud of myself that I can do that. Now, I ended up making sort of a mini one called the Spring Solstice. That's what it's called. And I'm pretty proud of that, though I didn't make the iron golem, or sorry, not the iron, the stone golem myself. It was a rig that was already modeled and textured and rigged for me by a previous grad, and I got to animate it. So it's really cool. I don't know what else to say. I'm very proud of myself, though there's a lot of people that are not going to understand what you did, and you can't fall into that trap. It was a group effort. It's not disappointing that I didn't make everything by myself, and that's something you're going to have to just... Personally, I've had to be proud of myself instead of getting gratification from everybody else. So that might be something that you're going to have to go through also. But with all of that said, I would recommend Vancouver Film School to anybody, to visual effects artists, not to sim artists. I can say that. Visual effects sim artists, don't go to Vancouver Film School, because that's not what they teach here. You're going to have to find out stuff for yourself. That's pretty much the only thing though. Previs, animation, like modeling, lighting, compositing, all of that stuff they will teach you. They'll teach you the pipeline, how to work in a studio. They'll teach you how to be a better person, honestly, how to be professional. They will teach you a lot of stuff about tax returns and being an artist too, and the history of being a visual effects or cartoon artist. And it's actually really cool. Now that I'm out of it and I can think of all that stuff, it's really cool. But when you're in Vancouver Film School, it's really hard. And honestly, it was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, but I'm glad that I did it. I'm so glad that I did it. When I get my certificate, I'm putting it on my wall, because that is probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, and it might be one of the hardest things I will ever have to do, other than like dying. So that says something about the school. It's really, the pressure's put on by myself because I wanted to succeed. It's not the school that makes you work so hard. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any individual questions, or if you want me to make a very specific video on something, let me know down in the comments down below. And check out my YouTube channel if you like Minecraft stuff. I do lots of Minecraft tutorials and Let's Plays and stuff. So Mr. Soys is on YouTube. I'll put a link down there. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to smile.